Hello and welcome back. So in this section, we are going to build the second real life integration scenario using logic apps. So in the previous videos, in the previous section, we built the first interface, first real life integration scenario using logic apps. And I hope you followed that through, and I hope you build your own interface using the instructions from the previous video. Now I had quite a few feedback from other students that the video format was being quite long, and it was being difficult to follow what was going on in the video during different time period. So considering that feedback, I'm changing the format of this following real life integration scenarios a little bit. So rather than having one long video where we discuss the requirement, design the interface, then build the interface and do the understanding at the same time, uh, from this section onwards, what we're going to do is we'll break the entire section into multiple small sections. So in the first section, we would only understand the requirement, the business requirement. We'll try and understand the business requirement first in detail, right? And then in the second video, we'll try and design this interface, right? Not build. We'll plan how to build that interface. We'll design how to build that interface in the second section. Then in the third section, we will actually build the interface, right? So by the time you already understood the requirement, you already understood the design of that interface. So now we'll build the interface, right? And then in the following section, we will enhance that interface, right? So we will take the actual interface that we've just built, and then we'll make some changes to that. We'll assume that there have been some change request in your actual project and you're changing something, right? So we'll enhance that interface. And in the last video, we'll quickly summarize whatever we've done in the past 4 videos, starting from the requirement, design, building, and enhancing the interface. So I hope you guys like this format and give me the feedback. Let me know what you think. Do you like the long video format where we do everything in one video, or you want to be able to go back and review just the design phase or just the requirement phase, and all of the different phases in different segments, right? Let me know what you think. This is another new experiment for me. So let's start reviewing the requirement of this new interface, new real life integration design, right? So let's start by studying the requirement of the second real life integration scenario using logic apps, right? So here you're working for a client called Atlas Retail Limited. Your client is a multinational DIY, do it yourself, and home improvement retailing company. They're headquartered in East Lake, England, right? And they're using Dynamics 365 CRM system to store all of their customer data. And they're also using Dynamics NAV as their ERP system to assist them in finance and manufacturing and supply chain, right? So they're using Dynamics CRM system, and the ERP is also Dynamics NAV. Dynamics NAV is the ERP from Microsoft, right? And along with their 200 plus stores, they also have a custom built e-commerce portal where all of their customers can view all the items. They can order it online and they can pay using credit card or debit cards, and in an entire e-commerce stack is also available, right? Deliveries can be made direct to home, or customer can choose to collect the items from their nearby store. So customers can order online and they can have it either delivered or they can have it picked up from this nearby store. They can choose this store and they can go ahead and pick up. This is a standard practice in some of these larger stores, right? So rather than waiting for the item to arrive to your home, you just go to the store, you check the item, you look at the item. If you don't like, you can return it right there, right? Or sometimes you might not want to wait 2-3 days for the delivery, so you can order online, find which is the nearest store that has that in inventory, just go and pick it up from there, all right? So the client also offers that services, right? And now uh, to help increase their online sales, they're starting this new drive of digital marketing where they would be sending email promotions to their client. So in order to know more about their customers, they right after, whenever any customer orders something online, they are presented with a form. Now this is a voluntary form. Customer can either choose to fill or skip that form, and that form looks something like this. Okay, so what the client wants to do is they simply want to collect the interest data of their customer, right? So it's just one question, simple question: what are the items you are most interested in, right? Customers can choose multiple options from the options that are presented here, right? And then customers can choose whether they would like to receive emails from Atlas or not, right? And then customers can submit the form. This is the business process behind the scene. Now this is the new form that's being presented in the e-commerce portal, right? Now this data needs to be updated under marketing preferences in their CRM system, right? So every CRM system has multiple fields, multiple details about their customers, and this is one of the standard fields where the CRM would store the interest of the customer, what this particular customer is more interested in, whether the customers would want to receive any promotional material, promotional emails or not, right? So this data needs to be updated under the preferences in CRM system for this customer so that they can use this to send relevant promotional emails to customers. Now, this is a temporary arrangement. Yeah, you don't want to bother your customers all the time, but because of any one particular period where most of your customers are going online to order something, your client wants to utilize that period and collect as much information as possible. So it's because it's a temporary arrangement, the client does not want to change a lot of things in their e-commerce portal. And solution architect decides that the form data will be sent to a service bus queue. So as soon as the customer fills up that form and hits the submit button, that data would be sent to a service bus queue on Azure platform. And from there, the integration should pick up that data and do whatever is necessary, right? So the solution architect doesn't want the e-commerce platform to integrate with the CRM systems directly, right? They have a lot of things to worry about. They don't want to get into the integration stuff, right? So you are the integration team, you are the developer, one of the developers in the integration team, and you are being given this assignment, to build the interface between this e-commerce portal and the CRM system. But due to the nature of this change, you have to deliver this change very fast. Within a week, you have to come up with the design, you have to come up with the requirement, you have to understand, and you have to deliver this interface in less than a week's period, right? Because this type of changes are usually quite fast, right? And this is where Azure gets very handy. If you had to do this in some of the other traditional integration scenarios, this would take few weeks, but using Azure you can potentially deliver such integrations in less than a week, right? So let's see how you would approach this situation. First of all, right, we have understood the requirement. Now how would you approach this? You're the developer on this assignment, and let's see how we want to move forward. So let's first meet the solution architect, right? That's your beginning point. Whoever is giving you this assignment, or whoever is the key person on that business, right? So in this case, the solution architect would determine what's going to happen, how this data exchange should take place, right? So you would first go and meet the solution architect or one of the developers on the e-commerce platform, right? So there can be various type of arrangements based on clients to clients. You may have a business analyst involved, You may just deal with the technical architect or the solution architect sometimes, but in either way, in simple terms, whoever is assigning you this task, right, you need to touch base with them and you need to try and understand this requirement technically, right? So in this case, let's talk to the solution architect, and here are the questions you need to ask. Now, the solution architect is the main solution architect for the e-commerce platform, right? So on the source side, in this case, the source where the data is being generated is the e-commerce, and the destination is your CRM system. So first we go to the source, which is the solution architect. Let's go ahead and ask, can you please give me or send me the exact data that I'll be receiving in the queue and the namespace of that queue, right? So there's two things you need to know. You're told that you would receive the data in the queue. So you need to know which queue, right? So name of the queue and namespace of the queue. These two are important details you need in order to collect the data from that queue. The second most important data is, okay, what exactly am I receiving? Can you give me the sample data, right? So you always start with the sample data, right? You don't want to, build your own data set and then realize that no, you're going to receive something else, because that would completely invalidate your requirements, right? So let's ask for the sample data and the queue details. So solution architect gives you the details. So here you go. Here is the sample JSON that you would be receiving, and here is the queue details, right? Let's look at the JSON. So this is a sample JSON. It has three fields: customer ID, contact by email, which is either true or false, and preferences. And in preferences, we can see that there are multiple preferences separated by a comma, right? So outdoor and garden, kitchen and bathroom. So there are two preferences for this one particular customer. Now you see we don't have customer name, we don't have customer email address, because we don't need all those fields, right? All of those fields are already available in the CRM system. So all they need to pass is these three fields in order to update the marketing preferences of any particular customer. And here is the queue URL, right? So this is what you've been given. So this queue URL is sufficient for you to connect to that queue, right? Now we have enough details from the source. Let's go and connect to the destination, which is your CRM system. So let's go and speak to somebody from the dev team or somebody who is the owner of this system, right? Let's go ahead and ask them the relevant questions so that we also have enough details for the destination systems. So you go and you ask the CRM architect or the business analyst, whoever is on the CRM side, you ask them that how do you want to receive the customer marketing preferences, right? So you have to pass this, but how do they want to receive it, right? Do they have an API? Do they want this in some database? Do they want a file, right? So you ask them and they tell you, okay, we have an API that you can use, and here is the endpoint of the API, right? You can send us the customer preference on this API and we'll take care of the rest internally. So your job is to send the data to this API. And what format? So here is the format they are asking you to send, and they're also mentioning please use this below request body. So they're asking you to use this request body, this JSON, as a request body and send it to the API. Right, so here is the API endpoint and here is the JSON. Now this JSON says client ID. The second field is email opt-in, right? It's a bit, right? So it's either 0 or 1. And marketing categories, right? So these are all the marketing categories that you are interested in. This is a sample JSON. So now we also have the destination details, right? So we have enough details to get us started. Now I'm obviously, quite downplaying the requirement. The requirement would usually be a little bit more than just a couple of fields. But for the sake of keeping this video short and simple to get you started, I'm a little bit downplaying the requirement, but this would give the gist of how the real life scenarios would look like. Instead of 3, there might be maybe 15 fields, right? and instead of one API you might have to call multiple APIs. But things doesn't change once if you're able to understand and build this interface, right? That would actually allow you to go ahead and build any other interfaces in the similar fashion. So now we have the source details, we have the destination details, we have completely understood the requirements. So the next phase is designing and planning the interface, right? So let's go ahead and start designing and planning. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.